And welcome to the UGO podcast. That's right, it's Unapologists Geek Out, and of course, I am here for the future. That's right. We here at Unapologists Geek Out are always thinking about the future and the man that inhabits it. The episode's about Future Man, guys. I don't know what to tell you. I'm too tired for these transitions. Travis, what are we talking about today? It's Future Man.
Apparently it's Future Man.
Hi, Travis.
Hi.
That's the god of the pod, Travis, over there.
Yes.
Right to my left. And I am, of course, Nick, the merc with the mic. And we're going to be having on a very special guest to talk about the epic Future Man Season 2 a little bit later in the show. Les Weiler will be joining us. I have some thoughts on Season 2, so we'll be talking about it. But first...
get into that.
But first, I just wanted to catch up with my good old friend, Travis. Travis, how are we doing this week?
Oh, pretty good.
Did you get to do anything? I saw you were playing some video games before.
Well, I saw there was an Anthem demo.
Mm-hmm.
I downloaded it. I'm like, oh, cool, Anthem has a demo. If you've pre-ordered the game or having like an Elite Origin access, I'm like,
wow.
Then why have it here?
Man, I know we haven't said it in a while, but sometimes it feels good. Suck a dick, EA.
Yeah.
But
So far, what I've heard of like the demo, it's like this story seems really trash. It's really fun to play though.
Really?
Yeah, it sounds like the combat's pretty fluid.
Well, it did look good. Mm-hmm. Like that jetpack shit that it was doing, pretty neat. And I did like the mech sort of thing. And I'm a sucker for always looking for a mech game that kind of feels like you're playing in a mech.
Right.
So, yeah.
So we can decide if we actually want this game or not. We can actually play the demo this weekend if we wanted to.
Well, I could definitely give it a try.
Yeah.
Also, Kingdom Hearts 3 is coming.
Well, since we share an account, we could just both buy one too.
Yes, that's true.
Convenience. Yeah.
But yeah, we also watched a lot of TV this weekend.
So much TV.
I mean, we watched Future Man.
Mm-hmm.
We caught up on Good Place and Brooklyn Nine-Nine.
Yep.
Both of them still kicking ass. Good Place actually had a very tragic last episode.
Yeah, I was like, damn, guys.
Yeah, it was kind of rough actually, but really heartfelt.
I'm going to keep watching this show. You don't have to keep me this invested.
I know. You'd be surprised how invested you are in this comedy where it's like, man, I'm actually really invested in these relationships, and everyone, it's sad.
I should see if my parents have kept watching, because I did show them all of, season 1, and they liked it.
Well, we also did catch up on Young Justice. Now, I know last time we talked about it, I was a little more down on it, because I was like, well, the first 3 episodes back...
it's really slow.
We're slower, but you know what? I should have known better, because the same thing happened with us for season 2. Mm-hmm. Because season 2, when the time jumped, I was like, this is disorienting. I'm not sure if I like this.
Oh, I remember still, you had to straight up sit me down and show me season 2. No, you'll like it. Trust me.
Mm-hmm. And I won't lie, the time jump is again jarring, and there's some stuff, and there's some stuff that I think that they are doing that might not be great, but overall, wow, these last couple episodes in particular, some really good stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Cyborg shows up.
Cyborg does show up.
Cyborg shows up.
And guess what,
Origin
guys?
Story.
We're not on Cartoon Network anymore, so people get fucked up. Although I am glad they stopped killing Violet so many times.
Yeah, she doesn't need to die every episode.
Just getting a little Wolverine with her. It's like, just because we can kill her over and over again doesn't feel like we should.
Right.
Also, I think they might have been hinted, because they showed a super daycare episode where they showed all the kids of the league, which was awesome, because you get to see all the kids, because that's just kind of fun.
Right.
But also it made it an implied thing of oh, maybe Roy is into Artemis, and I'm not sure how I feel about that.
Yeah.
Kind of that feels kind of lazy. I kind of like that they're living together, with Leanne, and they have their own little family unit, but just them being together because they're in close vicinity seems kind of...
That kind of thing does happen, though.
Sure, but remember the relationship when they it's just another one where oh, remember when they hated each other too,
right.
Wally and Artemis hated each other. It's yeah, she doesn't have to dislike all of her love interests before she gets together with them.
Well, it seems pretty one-sided at the moment, though.
Mm-hmm. I don't think Artemis is even looking around anymore. She seems pretty hung up on Wally still. But,
Well, then she has, she's dealing with her niece too, taking care of her.
Right. I'm actually really surprised they brought Cheshire back early enough to really deal with that. And they offer her Cheshire a pretty good deal, which is hey, come, be with your kid. And at first I thought they meant just you have free visitation or whatever. And I'm like, oh, that's pretty generous to just offer she can come visit whenever time she wants. But then later Roy's seems to indicate no, just come back home and live with us.
Right.
Which I'm Yeah, and I know she's the mom and everything, but she's still like a wanted criminal, wanted for many, many criminal activities.
True, but to be fair, she also probably has enough intel on someone that she could get amnesty or something like it.
Yeah, I guess she could get a deal, like, but she's still kind of like a terrorist, right?
Yeah.
Like, it feels like oh, you just get to live with us scot-free. It feels like they might get pushback on that every once in a while.
A bit.
Like,
well, I mean, as long as the league's okay with it, I don't think the common public would know who she is, so.
Yeah, also I love Forager on the team. I didn't know how I was going to feel about Forager, this new Apocalyptic guy. But
Travis likes Forager.
Travis likes Forager. Nick enjoys him as well. I did love that they kind of downloaded, like, I don't know how to speak English. Don't worry, I just downloaded it into your brain. Like, oh, Forager likes this. Like, Superboy gives her shit like, yeah, obviously everything but the pronouns. Hey, their language is hard, okay?
Pronouns are weird.
They have a strong sense of self-identity. I just want to make it like, oh, I'm sorry, you download different languages into his brain, Superboy. See how you like it. I do like Superboy and McGann together. They've been pretty cute overall.
Mm-hmm. I almost feel bad for them too. Like, they're basically at this point parents with a bunch of adopted children.
Mm-hmm. I am sad that we aren't seeing more of the Bat family though.
Yeah.
Like I really we got to see a little bit of Orphan, who is of course Cassandra Cain, which is like my favorite comic book character ever, which was cool to finally get to see her, but like there's going to be like no time with her and it's like, damn it.
Yeah.
She's going to be like Wonder Girl from the season 2 where it's like she's in it, but she's not really focused on it all.
No. You'll see her episode or two.
Well, remember in the season 2 where Tim seemed to be kind of like, oh, he's going to be kind of our focus from season 1, and then he got dropped out too. Basically, almost everybody except for Blue Beetle got a lot of it got kind of shoved off to the side.
Right.
Which I get, you want to keep it about the regular cast too, but I do like that they're focusing on some of the newer characters like Violet and Forager. Brion is growing on me.
He's growing as a character too.
He feels like the character I was afraid Superboy was going to be when I started watching this series.
Pretty much.
And I was like, oh yeah, you're the stereotypical angry guy.
Which is funny because he interacts with Superboy a lot.
I know.
It's just like, I imagine Superboy just like, oh god, is that what I looked like?
Well,
damn.
I do like their self-reflection too of like, hey, where do you think they went? I bet you they went to the one place we told them explicitly not to go. And then like McGann goes to Nightwing like, well, I guess we reap what we sow, right? And Nightwing's like, I have no idea what you're talking about. Like that's just the denial of like, no, we were angels. Back in my day, we respected our elders.
Lies and slander.
And especially with Robin, I'm like, Robin, you were a pretty bad influence on Aqualad. Like you were the one orchestrating the whole thing of like, well, we should go to Cadmus, don't you think? Like, but I like Aqualad as Aquaman now too. Makes me wonder, like, hey, did they ever mention where Arthur is?
Yeah, I don't know.
I mean, they don't act like he's dead.
No.
So, like, maybe he could just be ruling Atlantean.
Yes.
I figure. Yeah, I just love all the super babies around.
Yeah, that's cute.
Like, we even get to see a little bit of a Bat Baby later. Not in that, like, was it in the same episode or not? I forget which one that was.
I actually don't remember. Yeah, we're watching them like 3 at a time, so picking out what happens in which episode.
Even a cute little super baby.
Yes, little super baby.
I was like, oh, so cute. And someone pointed out that was the first time we actually saw Lois in the series.
It's probably true.
I was like, yeah. Well, I mean, it doesn't focus on like any of the major superheroes at all.
Right.
Like we finally just got to saw Steel in one of the last episodes. I was like, oh, cool, Steel. Like, and it really does make me feel because like, you know, we focus on these characters so much. I'm like, yeah, but I love this whole universe of characters. Like, I really wish, like, we finally got to see Metamorpho, and I was like, oh man, I never get to see Metamorpho a whole lot in any other series, so it's nice to see him for a little bit. We got to see Katana. I don't know what she's doing on the League. Like, she's not like a bad guy, but I wouldn't characterize her as a straight up good guy neither. So. But yeah,
we also I love too in the baby episode where Impulse is chasing around. It's like, no, Grandpa, come back! Like, stop calling him Grandpa.
No, it was Dad. It's his dad.
That's the dad. Yeah,
because Flash is his grandpa.
Yeah,
like he's like, Dad, come back! Stop calling him that. Spoilers. And I'm like, yeah, I think you're fucking up the timeline.
Yeah, that's just not cool.
Did you ever like wonder like no one ever had a conversation with Impulse that like you're stuck in this time forever? Like, you fucked, like, imagine, like, you're always fucking up the timeline, even if you spend a little bit back in time, but no one seems concerned about getting Impulse back to his own time.
Well, I mean, they even, like, in the flash forwards, whatever, they basically even said, I'm like, yeah, you're stuck there if you do this.
Yeah, but Impulse knows that.
Right.
Like, he and that's what the act he's put on, so that he kind of puts on that act of, like, oh, I'm just a dumb kid from the future, so, like, no one kind of bothers him about it. And which is smart, don't get me wrong, but, like, don't you think, like...
Eventually someone would be like, hey, you're still here?
Don't you think eventually someone would give enough of a shit about him to go, man, maybe we should find a way to get you back home, buddy?
Let's face it, Batman knows already.
Well, yeah, but, like...
Also, that was weird, too, of seeing Shazam, like, growing up.
I know, seeing Shazam, I didn't even recognize him.
Yeah.
Like, it's hard to tell a lot of the times. Like, we see Perdita, one of the princesses from the season 1, where Wally saved that princess, we see her older too, and it took me a minute to catch up. I was like, oh shit, that's the...
You're that character.
Yeah. Because everyone, like, really, like, it... Man, how long has it been between, like, time skips?
I don't remember.
It's like, it was 2 years, the first one, and now this one was, like, 4 years or something?
Yeah, I think so.
So, like, yeah, Billy is now, like, you know, at least 18 probably. So, like, he's kind of a full-grown adult, which was really interesting. Also loved that he is, like, talking in slow motion during the explosion, and then Flash is like, I love this job at regular speed, because it's at Flash speed. And I think Billy is, like, still trying to say Shazam or something. He's all like, but, yeah, very cool. I'm greatly enjoying it, and I am excited for even more. That's not the only superhero TV we've watched, though. We also started watching Punisher.
Yep.
So Punisher was interesting. So, like, Punisher season 2, I should say.
Right, we're on up to, like, 4 or 5.
Yeah. Like, we're coming up towards the middle mark here. So I will say this about Punisher season 2: the first episode, I was like, wow, this is very interesting what they're doing. It was a hard look at Frank as a character, and, like, it was exploring a lot of stuff about loss and loneliness.
Very heavy for a one-night stand.
It was very heavy. They had to sell a lot with a little amount of time between two characters, like, chemistry-wise, between Punisher and his new lady. But I thought they really kind of sold it, and then it really did deliver on the violence at the very end, too. Because, like, it gets really... There's a whole bathroom fight that is, like, it's just throwing around people as ragdolls. Also interesting to see so many women in a Merc crew.
It's true.
Yeah.
You don't usually get to see women get beat up as much.
I will say that I'm starting to feel also like I did, because I did have the same thing for Punisher season 1, where the first episode was like, I'm into this. And now I'm starting to feel like, oh shit, yeah, that's right. It kind of slows it down near this middle part too.
Yeah.
Also, I don't know if I'm crazy about this new character they have tooling around with Frank.
She's so dumb. I've
never seen someone so prone to trying to get themselves killed. It'd be one thing if she doesn't, like, you know, Frank's a crazy dude, don't get me wrong, and, you know, it's alright to question his motives and feel like, am I safe around this guy? I get that, but she actively is going against her best interests and trying to, like, lose him all the time. To the point where I don't know how she survived before Frank got here.
Making a lot of identities, apparently.
Yeah, so I'm not sure how I'm crazy about that. We haven't gotten really to Billy Russo's thing before. They're being all cute hiding his face, which sucks because we've seen his face and we know it's not that messed up, which is weird. Like,
yeah, because he got his face, like, carved by glass.
Dude, they keep showing that flashback and I'm like, he doesn't have any face left.
No.
Like, how did if they grafted to that point, like, he was like red jelly all over his face.
Yeah, he should look like Red Skull.
In fact, that was the reason Frank let him go, is like, I'm letting you go so that every time you look in the mirror, you can remember me.
And then he has amnesia.
Yeah, which I thought was kind of funny, like, but also that, like, I don't know. It's something weird about it that's not sitting right with me.
Then why the mask? Like, why did they give him that mask?
Who gave him that mask?
I don't know.
Did he give himself that mask?
I don't know.
If he did, like, why? What is this janky, like, Halloween mask that he's wearing? I don't know. There's some weird shit going on with that. I'm confused. But yeah, also I saw another superhero related thing that you did not get a chance to see because I went to go see Glass. Because I really was interested in the end of that trilogy of Unbreakable and Split being a surprise sequel to that movie.
Right. I'd never seen Unbreakable, and I only saw like the second half of Split.
And to be fair, M. Night Shyamalan was more on the upswing. I mean, I didn't like The Visit as much as everybody else did, but I did recognize that like this is a lot better than he's usually done. And Split was kind of that same way for me. I was like, you know, he still can't write dialogue for people that sounds like they're actual people. But as far as the story structure is concerned, this is a pretty decent horror flick.
Right.
You know? So I was interested in how Glass was going to hold up. And I really am disappointed to go and like, yeah, M. Night, you did it again. You fucked your shit right up. But, I think I hear our special guest for today. Let's see if we can't get on for...
Because we weren't stalling. Shut up.
And who is that on the line? Why, it is our special guest for this week, Les. Les, how is it going, buddy?
How did you kids get my number? Oh, hey. Hey, guys.
Oh, boy.
How did you people get into my room?
When we pick guests for the Unapologetic Geeko podcast, it seems that Les is indeed more in this scenario. I'm sorry, Les. I know you got to be here that all the time.
What was that? That was less is more?
Yeah.
I'm noting that one down. That's new. That's a new one.
I'm just saying that it's not a bad name for a podcast, like a self-help or a self-help book, you know?
Yeah, I have a feeling if it hasn't been used, it's only because people named less just can't bring themselves of like, no, never say that again.
Like they haven't too much dignity.
Just a little bit of self-respect.
Okay, yeah. Well, we can break that.
I could totally mess it up. Like my name's actually Leslie.
Like
so
just
I could be
go
the pun
read a
and just be like
self-help book.
Leslie is more.
So before you called us, we were actually in the middle of discussing some superhero stuff. We were talking about Young Justice Outsiders and how much we were enjoying it.
Yes.
I
was wondering if you were enjoying. You got to see a little bit of the Bat family come back, and I think in this last set,
Katana and Metamorpho was cool. For characters we never get to see. And since I was complaining about the first 3 episodes being slow, I like how fast and efficient everything. The storytelling with Beast Boy in that one episode was
pretty good.
Dude,
Yeah.
Trippy, but good.
It was so good. It's funny on a meta level, but it's dealing with really dark stuff. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
it just the concept of why did Beast Boy become an actor? And just throughout that whole episode, I'm like, you know what? I got you. I get what happened to you, and I get it. Like the way he experienced loss, and like just like
How much of it?
how much of it? And he needed time to like reboot, and he was. You imagine how young he was. He was 14, and I don't know. I just thought it was like, man, it was fantastic storytelling.
Yeah.
Also,
agreed.
I love the Teen Titans Go riff with Doom Patrol. That was just, I was cracking up that whole time. I was like, man, they're even taking shots at themselves. It's fun.
If only the rest of DC could learn that.
And they got the Teen Titans cast to voice them. How hilarious is that?
We'll also love too in the one where we get introduced to Victor Stone that the voice actor for Cyborg from the Teen Titans plays 2 different characters.
Yes, he plays his friend and his dad. He's playing everyone but Cyborg.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
Just really funny. Also, I did mention to Travis as we were watching it, like, oh yeah, they don't usually, they switched up Victor's backstory to include the Mother Box stuff, that Justice League is doing.
Yeah, as part of Justice League.
Because normally, from what I remember in the comics, it used to be a car crash that his dad saved him from.
Right.
And it was a pretty heinous one, too. And I mentioned to Travis because I was like, yeah, they never really show in any of the comics or the cartoons or any adaptations of, like, how bad that car crash was. Because it was so bad, he had to basically replace parts of him with, like, robot parts.
Yeah, so it makes sense that they would switch up the storyline so they don't have to show that.
Yeah, because, it's harsh for kids to watch that, right? So, little did I know when I watched this episode, I was like, whoa!
Yeah, he was not all there.
Dude.
Literally.
That was messed up. Like, to see that, like he's crying and he can't even talk. He's gurgling. Like, I don't know. It shocked me when I saw it. I was like, whoa, this show is not on a Cartoon Network anymore. Also,
I feel like it's been very dark all season. Where they end the, I mean, not very dark, but.
Well, I mean, the whole premise of the show is basically they're like meta-human trafficking, which is child slavery.
Oh, yeah.
So it is like, it's heavy.
Young Justice has always had this rep for running heavy. I mean, season 2 was magnificent, I think precisely because it was so much more involved and deep a story than, was necessary for a genre that constantly gets derided as toy commercials.
Right.
I mean, I think a lot of people are always going to write off superhero cartoons as 80s, as their 80s roots, and that's really not what Young Justice was.
Dude, that whole the good guy goggles, like if you're not caught up on Young Justice, you might want to skip ahead for this part because this blew my mind when it happened. But I was trying to figure out what these goggles were.
Right, because they kept showing up in the episodes.
And I was like, what are good guy goggles? I don't know what the fuck those are. They seem very important. And then they show Gretchen. Like this Gretchen chick, and like they mentioned it on Godfrey's show, and I was like, "Oh, hello, Gretchen. What do they call her? Goodwin?
Goodwin or something." Yeah. Like as soon as I saw it, I'm like,
Granny
Goodness.
I was like, "Wait a minute, what?" It's like, "Oh, but people know you better by your other name, Granny Goodness." I was like, "Holy shit!"
Yeah, and G. Gordon and all. Yeah, I love the bringing in all of this apocalypse stuff. It's just been great.
Mm-hmm. Well, dude, and it's the when you're dealing with a child slavery storyline, and suddenly Granny Goodness pops up, you're like. Duh! Yes! Like, for all those who don't know who Granny Goodness is, she's like the child slaver of Apocalypse.
Yep, that's literally her job.
Imagine, the people that die in Apocalypse where they don't really have an orphan problem on Apocalypse because Granny Goodness takes them all and like does really horrible things to them.
Yeah, like she's the pit they kick you into in Sparta.
Yes, absolutely. Like, and she was scary. She's a great villain. She's entertaining and weird, but yet very threatening because she reminds you of an authority figure, Like, it's like a deep...
It's similar to Umbridge.
Yes!
She's all the best creepy stuff that works in Jack Kirby cosmic weirdness for me. Like, she's part of what makes Apocalypse, like, so weird and threatening in both.
Yeah, like, there's something wrong on Apocalypse, like where it's like if Arkham Asylum was a planet or something. Like the weirdest deranged minds rule there.
Yeah.
Ooh,
it really does always feel like King of Prison Planet that you're dealing with,
Dude, Vandal Savage's backstory. Now that shit was real interesting. Mm-hmm. Like, just how he got those scars, like he got them before he was immortal, because he heals from everything. Like because that's always wondered in my mind too, like, how does he get scars if he's immortal? You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. Like, so, just going back that far, and like, man, that was cool. Also, having this deal with Apocalypse is just like, scary.
That was a cool way to end the first season, and also, I felt like it helped deepen how badass, Savage is, that they ended last season with, after all of the wins that you think the heroes got, that they just end it with that handshake of like, business as usual.
Well, he's got millennia-long plans.
Oh,
like,
exactly.
Sure, that plan failed, sure. But there's like
700 more.
And the thing with it is, it's so weird watching that episode, is his investment is to protect Earth. Mm-hmm. Earth above all else.
Right.
And
like, let Apocalypse go do whatever they want as long as
because he thinks
survives.
He runs it.
Yeah. Well, in his mind, time is limitless for him. So eventually he, as far as he sees it, eventually I will run this place.
I will outlast you. And yeah.
And to his credit, I can't see in which way he'd be wrong. Like, in the long game of things.
There's few people that could outlive him.
Yeah. Like, sure, the heroes win a lot right now, but all they have to, Vandal all has to do is wait, Like, say like, oh, well, I can't beat Superman right now. I'll just wait 1,000 years, and so all of Superman's family are all dead, and there's the last line of Kryptonians or whatever. He can last out races of aliens. Like,
it makes the type of threat he presents like fundamentally different than Lex Luthor. Like, they both are scary to me in the same way of like they're always 3 plans ahead of you.
Vandal is scary. It made Vandal, for me, it made him scarier, but yet more sympathetic.
Right.
Yeah. Because there's not a petty desperation to Savage. He'll just wait you out. Like, there's a patience to it. Whereas with Lex, like, he doesn't have limitless time. He wants this now.
Right.
Right. So his games are like, he's still as cold and methodical, but his in the law, compared to Vandal Savage, everything for Lex is short term.
It's short game. Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, it has to be because he's mortal.
Yeah. I mean, even Rachel Ghoul can't live that long. Eventually, the Lazarus pits are going to run out.
Right.
Like,
yeah, Savage just rightly assumes he will just outlast almost everyone. I mean, he may only just now really with like the stuff, running into Apocalypse and stuff, that be running into creatures that might conceivably also be immortal.
Right. Like, I don't know, this show is just, man, having a show come back that you loved so much is just good enough on itself, but to have it be as good as you remember it, if not better, man, it's a great
The general
feeling.
tone that they set allows them to do things like be goofy and bring in Lobo and yet have something happen to Forager that made me gasp, like, you sons of bitches. And even though it plays out not as I expected, like, the tone of the show allows them space that I believed something really, really awful happened.
Well, I always commended them in the first couple seasons too, where it always felt like it was fun, but there was a level of danger. It felt like what they were doing was dangerous. Like they could die.
Yeah.
Like, so it now the level of danger is like, well, we're not in Cartoon Network anymore. So like,
fuck it.
Yeah.
We're killing Violet every other episode.
Somebody's getting their face dragged through glass. You know it.
But yeah, before you called, I was actually talking about another superhero property. Les, did you see Glass at all?
No, I've not.
Okay, so Travis didn't see it. I'll keep it relatively quick then. I was in the middle of saying that I was disappointed by it, and the reason that I am is that M. Night Shyamalan makes a weird decision by making most of the movie the second act. And the second act is all the asylum stuff, in which they try I forget what her name is, the actress, but she's trying to convince everyone in there that they're not superheroes, that it's all in their heads. And they go out of their way to like, Bruce Willis, your ability to see people's sins, that's just you being very observant. Like cold reading, like magicians can do it. And what's weird is that it works on them to a point where they start to doubt themselves. And it's weird to me because I'm just sitting there in the theater going, but how is he immortal though? Like, but for real, he survived a train wreck without a scratch on him.
Something he knows.
That's the point of each of their individual movies, which we already had except for Glass. I mean, like, that's like putting you back in.
He's been fighting crime for 15 years, never gotten hurt.
All but the last 5 minutes of Split, or literally all of Unbreakable, is him not being convinced, and then he
is convinced.
He knows it by the end. Like, they can't.
It's irrefutable.
Literally, is her superpower taking away superpowers by?
And that's the whole point of Split too. Is that does this beast exist? And by
is
the
it
end
real
of the movie,
or isn't it real? And then at the last 5 minutes, it's fucking real.
Holy shit! The
super
beast,
real.
The beast is a thing. Holy shit! So to walk it back, and they don't even try and sell the audience on it at all. Like, they have explanations for some things, but it's like, if you want me to sell me on this, you have to make Bruce Willis bleed or something. Like, because Bruce Willis never goes, like, okay, here, or tries to cut himself.
Yeah.
Like, I'm invincible. I'm not imagining that.
Like, show me that self-doubt actually disrupts their mutant powers or whatever, and that she actually is, like, a danger to them.
Yes, like if they don't believe in themselves, maybe their powers don't work.
That
you know
would
what
totally
I mean?
fit in the Unbreakable universe. That like maybe Bruce Willis is this strong partly because of the faith of his kid.
Yeah, like maybe there's like a collective belief thing in about it, but it's so weird because like they even show like, I saw on your computer.
That seemed to be the point of Split too.
I see on your computer you had things about rock climbing. Some of these rock climbers are so good they can climb sheer wall faces. And like I'm just saying that maybe your abilities are coming from a regular place of strength. And it's like, yeah. But he climbed on the ceiling though. Can those guys do that?
We were there too. Let me show you the last 5 minutes of this other movie.
Yeah, it's like it's like sitting Spider-Man down in a room like, you think you have spider powers. I can climb on walls, guys. I'm not imagining that.
Right?
Like,
let me have this discussion with my mask pulled half down, hanging from the ceiling, and then you make your point, okay?
But the webs are made in science in some shows. Yeah, whatever.
Wolverine, you think you have adamantium on your bones? I'm pretty sure I do.
Flicks it out like, yep.
Those are just manifest. So if I stab you with these right now, then
It's
they
just my
won't kill you.
imagination.
You'll just heal.
Now, yes, but the psychic damage it would do to you thinking you killed someone. Like, the whole premise
So
is...
basically what you're saying is reality is, well, everything that my senses can make of it. Yes.
Then what's the difference?
like,
Like, we're both in agreement, and I can prove these powers. Like,
it would be
you're not
easier
asking...
to convince me they were in the Matrix rather than they were crazy.
That's frustrating to know that they walk it back like that, because that was the reward for the time spent on the previous movies, was getting to this point in the story where it's established. Like, that was the big reveal in both those movies, was establishing it truly.
So all you're doing is waiting for the characters to remember that they're superheroes so that the third act can happen. And it's so long too. Like, it's so long. Sam Jackson doesn't appear in the movie until 30 minutes in. He doesn't speak a line of dialogue until an hour and 5 minutes in.
wow.
It's called Glass. The movie's named after his character.
No, what actually it's about is it's actually the glass ceiling. And unfortunately someone hit it.
And it's not like I want M. Night Shyamalan to be bad or anything. I was actually kind of rooting for him. I love a good underdog story, but he literally I was in the middle of the movie thinking, why does he not want why does he not want the audience to realize that or to doubt the superheroes at all? Why doesn't he want them to, why is he creating this narrative where this super special person is being doubted by the rest of, by a super secret organization, that even though it's completely obvious that he's a super special, he made this movie about himself again. This motherfucker made Lady in the Water again. Also, it has 2 twists in it. And one is kind of dumb. The other one is really fucking dumb. Like, one of them is like, okay, I guess. And then the other one is like, you've gotta be kidding me. And I won't spoil them here, but like, movies, it seems like no movies understand how the internet works at all. Like, you can't stop me now. It's on the internet. Yeah, okay.
You're right, and it will always exist on the internet. But that doesn't mean much.
Well, it doesn't mean people will be convinced or believed by it, you know. But anyway, that was just my disappointing day. On to something that's less disappointing. We're going to talk about Future Man Season 2.
Hello, Josh. I'm Susan. I know in your time it's a woman's name, in ours, it's not.
Hachi-machi. Welcome back, Torque.
I'm in a different reality.
I thought we saved the future.
Our mission failed.
Please, I'm begging you. Is anything normal?
Well, I'm married now. 2 beautiful husbands, 3 handsome wives.
How many years you been here?
I think we're going on 3 days.
We created this timeline. You know, everyone here is in danger. We owe it to this world to try and save them.
Welcome to the Ported Circle. You'll need a code name. How does Jesus sound to you?
It's a little risky.
Allah?
Yeah, Jesus is fine.
Tiger, meet my daughter, Diane.
Hi.
So funny.
¿Por qué?
Hey, Josh, check it out. I found a needle in a U stack.
Isn't it? And then that's all that.
Used.
It's all used.
Now, Les, we talked about the Future Man Season 1 back a while back. I don't know if that was one of your first times on here.
Yeah, I think it might have been.
But it was what a surprise it was for me, at least, when watching it on Hulu, like a Hulu original. And I was like, wow, what a fun funny time travel show.
Yeah, out of the blue, also, Hulu, I don't think prior to Future Man, I'm not sure Hulu had ever dropped anything full season at once, any original content. Their policy to differentiate themselves, I guess, from Netflix was to dole it out like
weekly.
a week at a time.
Mm-hmm.
And I remember being like, oh, well, that's odd that Hulu dropped it all at once. That this seems to be an original. I heard nothing about it, like, snuck up on me like Stranger Things style, like, what is that? And then, yeah, as soon as I got through one episode, immediately was like, thank God all of this is up.
Because I need it all.
Yeah. Yeah, I watched the entire thing, I think, in like 2 sittings. Told my wife about it. She started watching an episode, and I did not intend to sit and watch the rest of it. And, like, I ended up rewatching almost the whole thing. I think within 4 days.
I was excited to watch season 2. And season 2 takes place mostly in the future. With a new alternate timeline that they've created. And our 3 characters kind of split off amongst each other, doing their own little storyline things. The main focus is on Tiger and Wolf this season. Or Torque, as Wolf is now called.
Right. Yes. Yeah, everybody's switched out now from animal names to machine parts.
Mm-hmm.
Or terms. Engine terms.
Just tools, yeah.
So, yeah, we'll take a couple minutes to talk about it non-spoiler before we just jump into spoilers. So anyone who's listening, just be warned that because the plot's kind of complicated. So I'm gonna have to try and to talk around it would be very annoying.
The plot is kind of complicated.
So, mostly I like this season. It's not as good as season 1.
Yeah.
And I was still amused by it, and I was still chuckling along. I remember in season 1, I was out and out laughing a lot, and that happened a lot less in this season.
It felt less straightforward. Like there seemed to be less of a focused, direct. The goal kept getting switched around.
Yes,
and we kind of kept going off into little pocket themed episodes and stuff, which I enjoyed, but like it's different than season 1.
Well, the goal for season 1 was always the same. Stop Cronus from making this cure. Except that they just kept fucking it up.
And it's funny, too, because we're saying it's like, yeah, season 1 was so much simpler. You know, the time travel season was more simple.
It was crazy fucked up. Yeah. But the goal, like Nick nailed it. Yeah, the goal was the same. Right. Even though, they kept failing and making things crazy complex.
This season has all 3 of our characters at any given times are all having different motivations and different goals that also kind of keep switching. Mm-hmm. And it's kind of hard to keep track, and it feels like, honestly, Josh is the only one that feels very concerned about the threat level of the impending attack that he's stumbled across.
Right.
And it feels like he's frustrated because Wolf and Tiger don't really seem to want to get involved, seem to involved in their own shit. And honestly, that's kind of my problem with the show too, is that it feels like the show doesn't want to deal with its main plot and would rather just spend its time with its characters. And
instead of being about a thing they've got to do directly, they're not sure what that is for a while, and you just hang out with Wolf and hang out with Tiger, and Juice is kind of bumbling around in the formations of what will be the big bad for the season.
Right.
Yes.
But you don't get to that until like halfway through, I don't think. 4 or 5 episodes in. And it's awesome spending time with Wolf. Like, I love the
Wolf's
Full House.
time in the Nag is probably the best part of the season. Like,
with their whole idiocracy, Luddite thing. I love that they're all named after engine parts, but don't know what a wagon is.
Right. Lug nut.
Like, they just know a bunch of the fucking engine terms, and lug nut and oh god, Pump. Is that his assistant intern?
Yep. Well,
it's their whole idiot.
Yeah, they have like 6 spouses or something. Like, it's like, we have 6 people clusters. When we first tried it, it was 7 people.
That's just crazy.
We were so naive.
I know you think it sounds crazy to say that I'm just going to have sex with the same 6 other people for the rest of my life, but god damn it, I want to try.
I want to try.
What'd they do before?
I think, you know what I love about Wolf is how easy he seems to adapt to any...
He's super adaptable.
The way he fell into the 80s is kind of how he falls into the Nag, too.
Yeah. And he just loves, I mean, he starts to see the problems with it.
And he not only does he fall in, he thrives.
Yeah.
And he wants to, like, you know what, we can change some stuff around here too. And he wants to become like the new leader and whatnot. So what's left for Tiger's side of it is the biotechs, as they're now called, on that side of things. And Stu as this new AI type character.
Mons.
Yeah, and yeah, so here's where we're going to get into like heavier spoilers for the rest of the season. I do like that Tiger meets her alternate timeline self. That they all have alternate timeline versions of themselves.
Right.
Yeah.
What's her name in the alternate timeline?
I don't
Tyann?
remember.
Tyann, something like that. Yeah. And having the actress get to play off that is fun too.
Her voice.
Right.
Oh my god! And then the
Didn't think
reveal
that
on that, like, I guess if we're having spoilers, like
The
reveal that she just picked that as a 14-year-old to piss Stu off, and then was like, "Fuck, I'm stuck with this."
Right.
Which it's like, and that was no payoff. Why did I even do that? It was so hard to keep up. She just keeps complaining about it.
So I like that, and I like that for the joke, but it also brings up one of my complaints about the show too, is that it takes away a lot from their growing relationship before.
Mm-hmm.
Like when you realize that no, Tyann is just probably trying to keep tabs on her the whole time. Like,
Yeah.
there's not a whole, like, that building relationship was all fake. Like, that's not the real Tyann doing anything.
Yeah.
There.
When you realize, like, oh wait, that's a great conceit, but it actually undercuts something you did earlier. Yeah.
And it's weird that, like, I kind of like that they're not afraid to blow up a premise for a joke or something, but they're undoing some stuff that I was kind of liking before.
Right.
I kind of liked Tiger learning about herself through Tyann and that sort of story arc. Also, it kind of goes back and forth on Stu being a bad guy or not.
Yeah.
Like at first Stu doesn't even want to spy on other people. Like he thinks that's an invasion of privacy. But then he goes murder mode so fast later.
Oh yeah, he turns full villain. Yeah, and like full giant crazy villain. And it's funny. Like I got a kick out of it, but when I look back on it, I really was digging the idea that he was not a bad guy and was actually not going to do anything horrible. He was still their enemy and like bringing about the end of the world.
Right. But he was kind of more innocuous about it.
Yes. Yeah. I would have liked him to have not fallen off the cliff into just full fucking crazy.
Well, it also doesn't make a whole lot of sense because his whole entire goal is like, oh, I want to save humanity by bringing him into this computer. I'm like, okay, cool. Why do you care so much if they don't go? Like, because it didn't. Basically, at the end, they made it like, oh, my whole entire goal was to be in control the whole entire time. I'm like,
yeah.
But you already are. Like, as its overlord AI, you kind of were.
You're in charge of this whole community anyway.
Yeah,
like,
you have that now.
And so, like, and it's not like the show isn't funny, but I feel like I was wishing it would just be a little more consistent on some of the characters, because I really did like Stu as this hapless kind of, he's like an all-powerful AI, but he's still kind of a schlub.
Yeah, he's still Stu.
I thought that was funny. You know, like,
Yeah.
I thought that was a funny dynamic that they switch up for him to be kind of just a generic bad guy at the end.
Especially since we got to see some various extremes of Stu. Like, you got to see kind of the super rich Juice version of Stu, and you also got to see like the totally milquetoast beaten down Stu. And so, yeah, to kind of see a weird, all-powerful nerd was just funny. But I'm with you. Like, I didn't like laugh until I couldn't get my shit back together the way I did in season 1. And I really did enjoy season 2. It felt like my hardest laughs were callbacks.
Yeah.
Like my hardest laughs were stuff that piggybacked on reminding me of season 1. Which works,
I loved where
but
Wolf recounts the time he tore up the Terminator 2 script.
Yeah.
all of
And
Wolf's
he beats the shit out of James Cameron for the
they
crimes
finally-
he would have commit later against
Yes.
Sigourney. He was
that's
so
true, yeah.
confused.
Yeah, and then he moves off to like another continent, never makes Terminator 2. Yeah, all of that shit was great. And I really liked the continued like running gag of all of his 80s stories. And nobody wanting to hear him until he finally just gives up of like when he takes the TTD and takes his cluster and leaves them with the idiot that he left at fucking OJ's house.
O.J. Simpson's house in 1992?
Yeah.
I can't imagine any place safer.
Bronco. Yeah, and he's gonna leave him, and then he realizes he's got a time travel device, so we might as well stay with him for a few years and get him established. So when he pops back up, he's in like the popped collar again with,
he gets his mullet back.
Yep.
Yeah, and he's just left her like wedding or graduation or something like that.
Just guess who what lug nut down the aisle.
And he's like, yeah, you won't believe who I booked for the reception, and nobody cares, and I wanted it. I was like, tell me. And he finally is like, fine, you don't get to know. Cause none of them show any interest in like any of his crazy ass 80s stories.
Right.
But yeah, like the best moments for me in this season were the ones that harkened back to season 1. So like this season felt like playing in a really fun sandbox, but that wears out, whereas season 1 established this amazing sandbox and blew my mind. That said, what do you think about where they dropped it?
So
at the ending?
I have mixed feelings on it. I love the ending, especially the last episode. The previous one where they finally time travel again, I feel like they also break their own rules of time travel. Like it's like the characters forget how time travel works.
Right.
Because I get that the joke is they wanted a whole dead hallway full of Joshes and wolves and tigers. Like that's the punchline of the joke. But how we get there is that the previous versions are like, oh wait, there's a version ahead of us. Wait, does that mean we can just go off and do our own thing?
When they start branching off, yeah.
Do we even have free will? And I'm like, no guys, even if they hold to the multiple realities theory, like timelines theory that they hold to, if they jump into the future, they go to their own reality where they save the day again.
Right, so there wouldn't be anyone
So there'd just be 18 realities where they save the day. They would all jump in time. No one would be in that hallway to get shot.
No.
If they did
each
it
hallway
right.
would be there would suddenly be multiple hallways. Yeah.
Yeah, like and I was like, I get that they're doing this for the joke, but also it doesn't make a lot of sense.
They ruin it 5 minutes later.
Like and you know the whole alternate timeline thing of like the payoff of the joke is really funny. It just felt like during when it was happening, I was like, I don't think this makes sense with how your time travel rules set
right.
up. Because before they implied it that it was they alter the timeline and then they're the only ones that remember, you know. But then like and then now we don't even know if the alternate timeline thing is even true,
right?
Because it was revealed to us by Seth Rogen in Ultramax, and
almost everything he said in that seemed to be bullshit.
It seemed to be bullshit, so we have no idea. Like, I did like his line of like, imagine, one time you tried to go back and gave Osama bin Laden. Yeah, you gave him a time machine. So now he's blowing up buildings that don't even exist yet.
That's on you, buddy.
That's a real headache for us.
Yeah. That was fucking great.
And enough, Hitler, you never stopped him. Not once.
Yeah, not once. That's one thing you didn't try to do. In fact,
not even try.
In a couple of the timelines, Hitler actually won the war, rose to power. So we indicate that you actually helped the rise of Hitler. Like, when they break down all their crimes and all the shit that they did, like, you know this? Look at this right here in the nebula. That's a hole in the space-time continuum. Like, it had
you did that.
It had a couple different planets with a sentient species on them.
6
Holy
planets
shit,
or
there's
something
aliens?
like that.
We're not alone in the universe?
Well, not anymore.
We are now.
We are now.
I was just like,
yeah, you killed like 6 planets.
Like that whole, like, I really did like the final episode. I thought that was really funny.
Like, killed more people than Dark Phoenix.
And the way it ends with and I knew exactly how it was going to end as soon as they introduced the face poison thing. I was like, oh, they're all going to spray themselves and it's going to be bullshit.
Vinaigrette.
The only thing I couldn't figure out was like, I know Seth Rogen is messing with them.
Right.
I think his name is Susan in the show, right?
Yes.
Yeah, boy named Sue.
So, so I'm like, I know he's messing with them, but I don't know why. Is it a test? Like, but what would he be testing? It seems like, and it just seems like he's messing with them randomly. So the reveal that he is messing with them randomly, it's a reality show, and that's why he's been doing Ultramax to the camera this whole time, because it's a fucking ad for pads, maxi pads. I was like,
Blood diapers.
That makes way more sense. And then it shows like a whole Running Man scenario of like, they're going to be great in the gauntlet.
So my hope is that in the same way that season 1 kicked off with Josh like, so this is Last Starfighter.
Yes.
Okay, so like I know what we're doing here. I'm really hoping that
they're just doing Running Man.
Yeah, that they basically like open it up and Josh be in that same predicament of like, shit, so we're in Running Man now? And just now with a clean slate basically run forward from there. And not do callbacks, just give me a brand new Future Man.
Well, I also love
just
Seth
the Future
Rogen.
Man writer room taking on Running Man as a TV show, basically.
If Seth Rogen is the game maker of this Running Man, if he's the what's his name from the Arnold Schwarzenegger version,
the host,
that's great. That's a great running gag to me. I like that. And then they can have fun. Like each challenge is a different time period they send him to or something.
Yeah,
like because that's another complaint I have is that I know it's called Future Man and that they do spend technically time in the future. But there's not really a lot of time travel in this season.
Oh, season 2 is almost no time. I mean, they beat James Cameron's ass, and now there's a future with no time travel.
Right.
Or only forward slowly, I guess.
And I thought the reward for that would be a more concrete storyline with character development for the other characters.
But they kind of fall flat on that, too.
But like I said, they undercut a lot of that with the other stuff that they do.
Right.
Like, I love the joke that they end up murdering the good guys. Like, that was funny. But
yet, I like the bit of evil Morty that they've got going on with like, which one of you is J1? Like, which Josh have we got?
Yes, I also love J1. Like when he gets back when he's got the walnut like mask on, and he's like he sees himself like, oh fuck, I gotta go out and be the distraction. And like Josh gives him this whole speech of like, do you remember the guys who died on the beach of D-Day? No one remembers their names, but they're just as responsible for killing Hitler.
Right.
And I love that he to himself is like, you're good.
Yeah. Damn it, you're good.
I also love the whole Tiana having to pretend to be Tiger. Like that was a fun setup.
That's just the whole entire fact that like Stu adopts the person he wants to fuck. I'm like, that's not, I don't know what that is because it's not an Oedipus complex.
But and also his running psychiatrist in his head, him exercising, like, just all the weird, like, why do you feel like you need to do this? Like, he does so many things that, Morpheus would look at him and go, why are you breathing hard?
Also, when they get their time machine back, the only thing they can think to do is go back to the point where Stu shut himself down and then time travel a bunch because they can travel in time, but the space they inhabit is always the same.
Right.
Which, don't get me wrong, is a clever kind of solution, but also you have a time machine.
You can do a lot.
You have a time machine, and you know where the only thing they didn't know was where his brain thing was.
Yeah.
So I'm like, okay, go back, pretend to take Tiger's place again, and instead of having sex with the brain thing this time, kill it. Like. Yeah,
I think it would have been awesome if there had just suddenly been in one of the videotapes of all the different people that he tried to upload and killed. If one of those videotapes had just suddenly been Wolf walking in and yelling, wheel owl or whatever, and stabbing him. I
still love that he yells all those weapons names.
Yeah, and just stabbing him in the back of the head or something, and like that's the end of that project. Like no uploaded because you have a time machine. Go back to when he's flesh and blood and just stab him in the back of the head.
Or go back to before the Cure was because the Cure was still the cause of this war.
Right.
Yeah.
Like, so just go back and take care of Stu.
You have a time machine. You can still take care of the larger picture here, I would think.
I feel like they wanted to limit this season, so they took the time travel machine away, but the season is even limited when they bring the time travel back into it. Like, the scope of it is so small. Like,
I can't remember if Seth Rogen actually chews them out for like, your plan was so dumb. Like you tore a hole in the space-time continuum because your plan was awful. You used a time machine to do what? Like, why on earth would you do, why would you jump 20, I can't remember, I don't think he actually calls them out specifically, but I wish he had, but, or I hope it's not total bullshit that, I hope his chewing them out about being time police isn't entirely bullshit.
Yeah.
Because, I really love the idea that somebody from a time travel bureau that is fully aware of time travel would look at them and go, you did what with it?
Why?
That is so fucking stupid. Like that meme of like, Star Trek, like Earth is, hold my beer, we're gonna throw a warp drive into a warp drive and see what happens.
Yeah, yeah. Like, and I get it, like, it's supposed to be a comedy. I'm not supposed to think about it too hard or take it too seriously.
Yeah, but it wasn't funny enough, so it didn't keep going like the first season did.
Well, also, for this first season, it was pretty consistent on its time travel rules. Anytime they changed something, every time they time traveled back, their whole world was different, and they had to like deal with that. Like, okay, like it changed, but not the way we wanted.
That no prize justifies all of this. Like, I wonder if somebody's like worked out some ridiculously convoluted justification for why none of this breaks a rule.
And yeah, like
Legends of Tomorrow, I'm not seeing it.
Legends of Tomorrow brings its own time travel rules all the time, but also it has
what
the Kid
can
Flash.
and can't Gideon do?
But also, Kid Flash teams up with Elvis to fight ghosts in an episode. So I'm not exactly
right.
Yeah.
Like I don't know how the Scooby Doo episode exactly works in Supernatural, but I don't care.
I saw Barack Obama get kidnapped by Gorilla Grodd. Like, there's a certain level of buy-in I have for that show.
Right.
Yeah.
Like,
unfortunately, I'm gonna have to leave.
All right. Well, we can wrap it up here too.
I am still hopeful for season 3. I did really enjoy season 2, but it's not the knockout punch that season 1 was. Thankfully, I feel like literally anybody that watches season 2 and enjoys any of it is going to go back and have to watch season 1 immediately.
Sure. Well, I'd give it a solid 3.5 out of 5, I think. I mean, like the first season, I'd give it a 4.5. I think it was it was really, really good. Travis, what do you think overall?
Yeah, I'd probably give like a 6 out of 10 or so. Like it was still strong. I still like the characters. I just wish they did a little bit more.
I don't regret watching it or anything.
No,
I thought it was it was definitely
no, it didn't turn into a hate watch or anything.
Mm-hmm.
I'd say first season was 5 out of 5 for me. I was jaw on the floor about that show. I can't believe I watched it twice in 4 days. This season was 4, like a solid 4, maybe a little bit higher than that, just because I adore the characters and it just wasn't quite as thrilling a straight through plot line for me. But watching everybody come back, it was still like seeing all your friends again. I loved all the performances again. I wanted a more focused, big bad and more time travel. I wanted way more time travel.
Yeah, I agree. Like, there was no point in the season 2 where I was like, in season 1, I still remember distinctly stuff like, give me the baby. Give me the baby. Like, oh, she's harmless. And that's not true. I've killed hundreds. Give me the baby.
I did love her cat eating
cat
obsession.
Taco thing.
Oh my God. Yeah. That was great. But nothing got me in this season quite like Wolf's Lost 80s restaurant episode. Like, nothing quite hit me like that.
Yeah. Like that like, yeah, or just even the what's a Top Gun reference alone in season 1 of just almost doing the whole Top Gun scene was just crazy funny to me.
Oh God, when he snaps.
But yeah, there's always season 3, and if the Running Man thing pans out, I'm looking forward to it.
Yeah, I'm still looking forward to season 3. This is still head and shoulders above a lot of stuff on television and a lot of sci-fi. It's funny. It's still funny, but it's just not as like, Jesus, you guys hit gold on season 1.
Yeah. Well, Les, would you like to tell people where they can find you and some of your other content, including TV Dudes, Good Die Young, and all that?
Yep. So Good Die Young is Good Die Young TV or thegoodDieYoungTV.com, and I'm over at the TV Dudes at thetvdudes.com, and yeah. That's TV Dudes is weekly. Good Die Young season 2 will be coming out shortly, and
very cool.
It's been fun.
Oh, great! You got all the interviews and stuff done then?
Yeah, I'm still hopefully a couple things will trickle in. But I'm not holding my breath on them. I don't have a date set on those.
Oh, okay. Well, I'm looking forward to them.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you guys would like to listen to that, I would definitely highly recommend it. Les is a great guy, lovely voice like velvet. You can also listen to me on that season as well, which is really fun. I had a great time watching Happy Town. And of course, you can always look into our back catalog or our previous movies we watched with Les, with what was it, Wild Zero and Story of Ricky in the previously.
Yes.
And Les has sent us 3 other things to watch.
Wizard people, dear reader.
So we might have to do a triple feature or something.
Luckily,
all the crazy out at once.
Ninja Bachelor Party is 15 or 20 minutes and makes no sense. So
So, man, well, if it's called Ninja Bachelor Party, I feel like I'm obligated to at least give it a try. You know?
Bill Hicks and a bunch of cough syrup. It's and a camcorder. 80s.
Are you listing things in the movie or things that are required to?
No, that's how that movie got made. Bill Hicks and a bunch of cough syrup and
wow,
and a camcorder in Austin in the 80s.
Well, Stephen King and a bunch of painkillers gave us Dreamcatcher, so this can only be good. Yes, of course, you can find all that back catalog on our iTunes feed, UGO Podcast, or you can also find Les on all of his Netflix and Kill episodes he was on, along with a bunch of other lovely people on Netflix and Kill Pod, on Netflix and Kill on its own iTunes feed as well, or Stand Against Evil, still up there. We're hoping for that season 4, guys, so, check out Pod Against Evil if you're into Stan. Shovels up and all that. With that, we're on Unapologists, and we're out.